Hello everyone. In this video, we're going to walk through the installation, setup, and configuration of Elasticsearch and Kibana to be able to receive metadata from PowerScale OneFS and MetadataIQ. You are going to need Docker installed to run this because we're going to be using the containerized versions of Elasticsearch and Kibana. First off, once we have Docker running, you're going to need to launch a administrator PowerShell window, and we're going to start entering in some commands. First, we're going to enter in the command to create the Elastic Docker network. You can see I already have it and it already exists. That's why I got the error. Next, we need to run a command to actually pull the Elasticsearch image and run it. So that is the command. I'll put all the commands down in the link below. In this command, you will need to change the IP address to the host that's running Docker. While that's downloading and starting up, one thing to note is this process is going to be specific to Elasticsearch version 8.12.2. I believe 8.16.5 is the newest. However, the process will change a little bit based on what you're doing. So if you're running a different version and certain tabs and buttons and things like that aren't exactly where it is on my screen, that's because I'm running version 8.12.2 and you may be running a different version. Okay, once we see this screen, we're ready to move on. As you can see, I'm looking in Docker and we can see the container is currently running. Next, we need to open up a new PowerShell window and we need to download and install Kibana. So we're first going to pull the image. Once again, this is Kibana 8.12.2. Okay, once we have the pull completed, we can go ahead and run the container. Okay, once you see this with the Kibana install, it's time to move on. First, I would highly recommend copying all of this information from the Elasticsearch install. We're going to need that later, and this is good just to keep safe somewhere. So I'm just going to put it into a notepad document for safekeeping. So as we can see from the Kibana install, it's time to open up a browser, and we're actually going to navigate to it. So we're going to go to http:// the IP address, and then the port. The default port is 5601. I'd recommend leaving that as is. Okay, when you see this, that is good. It's time to enter in the token from the first screen that we saw. So that is this token right here. Okay, and to verify that, if you entered in the question mark code equals, you won't get that screen. I did not, so I have to manually enter it right here. Okay, so now we can see the setup has continued. We'll let it do its thing. Okay, now we have a login screen. From here, the username is going to be Elastic, and the password is going to be the automatically generated one that we saw from the terminal. So we're going to use those credentials and log in. Okay, and here we can see Elasticsearch. Okay, from here, our next step is to get an API key. To do that, we're going to go to the menu on the top left here, and we'll go down to Dev Tools. From Dev Tools, we're going to enter in the following. Okay, we're going to go ahead and run that. We're also going to need to copy the output. So if you got an error or something like that, then the syntax was probably wrong. So just double check all of that to make sure there's no errors over on the left-hand side. But I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste that in the same notepad document. Okay, next step is to pull the certificate off of the Elasticsearch Docker container and put that into IFS. So put that onto our PowerScale cluster. So to do that, we're actually going to need to open up a third PowerShell window, and we're going to enter in the following command. I'm going to put mine in. Okay, so I just copied it to the desktop. We can see the certificate right here. Now I'm going to open up a File Explorer window. We're going to browse to IFS, and I'm going to put that in the IFS root directory. Okay, from there we can double check that the certificate works on the PowerScale cluster. So to do that, we're going to open up a PuTTY session and SSH into the cluster. Let me go ahead and make this bigger so it's easier to see. Okay, to double check that our certificate is working correctly and communicating with the Elasticsearch container, we're going to enter in this command. So the two things that you're going to have to change are the IP address to match your network configuration. The port is 9200 by default, and it should still be that unless you changed it. The other thing you're going to need to change is the API key. So that API key is the one that we got from running this, and it's the encoded one. So it's not the just one that's just labeled API key. It is the encoded one. Okay, if you see this output, you know it worked. If you get an error saying the certificate is not yet valid, that could be an issue with time. It could be your NTP service is not connected to one of the devices, or something to that effect. Usually I could just wait about 5 minutes or so, and then it works correctly. Another thing we can do is check the cert using the MD5 command. And if you see that, you know you are good. From here, there's a couple things that we need to check to ensure that everything will work. One is Snapshot IQ, making sure that's licensed. As you can see with that command, I get the status of evaluation. That's because my PowerScale cluster is a demo cluster running virtually. Another thing we need to double check is to just make sure that the Elasticsearch packages are installed on the cluster. All right, so there we can see we have 8.14 of Elasticsearch installed on the cluster itself. From here, we need to configure MetadataIQ on the PowerScale cluster itself. This process from the documentation that I'm going to link down below, I found I had to veer off from that a little bit. I'm not exactly sure why, but the process I'm going to show you is what ended up working for me repeatedly. All right, so first we need to enter in some commands using the ISI MetadataIQ settings. Okay, the first command we're going to enter is to verify the certificate. I'm going to set that to true. Next, we're going to set the host name. Okay, and that is going to be the IP address and port of the host running the Docker instance. Once again, the port is 9200, the default port for the Elasticsearch container. All right, once we enter that in, we can set the path to the certificate. To verify the path that your certificate is sitting in, you can do a change directory to /ifs, do an ls command, and then we can see it right there. So the command we need to enter in is... Okay, now we can set the path. I'm just going to do /ifs. Okay, from here is where the process is going to change a little bit from the online documentation. Once again, I'm not sure if that's just something on my end or if I just have to wait longer and I'm impatient, but what I end up doing is as follows, and this is what works, what has worked for me. So I'm going to click on search, and then under endpoints and API keys, I'm going to enter in a new API key. I'm just going to name that OneFS. We're going to never expire. Then I'm just going to create the API key there. Okay, I'm going to copy all of that to my documentation there. Then I'm going to enter in that new key into OneFS. Okay, and once again, that is going to be the encoded one right here. The original one you created may work, but this is what I found has worked for me. All right, so once we enter that, we can go ahead and set a schedule. And I'm going to make mine every day, every 1 minute. Okay, that's all the settings we need to configure. Now let's enable the services. Okay, the producer service has been enabled. Let's enable the consumer service. Enable that right there. Okay, a couple of things you can do to just verify that the logs are being sent regularly are running an ls command on var log Izzy underscore MetadataIQ underscore wildcard underscore d.log. All right, so what to look for here are the timestamps. So we can see the timestamps are at 1:43 or 13:43, and as time goes on, I should start seeing new logs being created. On the PowerScale side, we can log into our cluster. And if we go to Snapshot IQ, we should see some MetadataIQ snapshots have already been created. So these snapshots, you'll see them pop up, and then they will be automatically purged. So you don't have thousands of snapshots depending on your schedule. Okay, from here we can go ahead and go back to Elasticsearch, and we're going to go to the menu up at top, and then under Analytics, we're going to go to Discover. And if you see this, you have data in Elasticsearch now, create a data view, that's good. That means that it has received the, some of the data from the cluster. So we're going to create a data view. And for the example, I'm just going to choose, create a name, just do OneFS, and then Izzy with an asterisk right there. And then under selected time field, timestamp field, I'm going to just put I don't want to use one. You can choose whatever you would like. And then save the data view. Okay, and there we can see metadata that has been sent to the Elasticsearch cluster from PowerScale. All right, well, thanks for watching. If you'd like to see any other videos, please let me know. Catch you in the next one.